name is Shannon Haddock, and I am a fiction specialist here at the Hoover Library. And since our summer reading theme is Tales and Tales, we're doing rescue tales today. I'm conducting interviews with some nonprofits that work with both animals and people, helping them come together and just be better people and be better animals. Today I'm connecting with Kirsten Atkinson, and Director of Volunteers and Programs. That's a big title for you for
Big
Hand in Paw
title.
organization. Yes. I have to say, y'all used to be near my husband's work on 7th Avenue. That's where you used to reside. But I do believe, gosh, it's been almost over 5 years that y'all built a new headquarters, isn't it?
Correct. We
Yeah.
we had the ribbon cutting 2 years ago
Two.
um,
Okay.
for the new facility, but we had been in here while they were renovating it.
Yeah.
So now it's this beautiful, wonderful space that we're so lucky to have. So we're just
Where is it
so glad to
located?
be here.
Where is it located? The new one.
We're in Avondale. We are right down the street from United Way. We have this wonderful little, we call it our hip campus over here. We have a lovely garden that one of our volunteers has been working so hard on. And we have a wonderful training facility that we're able to use here instead of having to go other places. So this has worked out wonderfully for us. We just love it.
Awesome. Well, let's go back in time, and if you could give us a synopsis of, HIP, Hand and Paw, how it came to be, when that happened, and the mission possibly. Fill us
Sure,
in.
absolutely. So Hand and Paw was founded in 1996 by Beth Franklin. And at the time, Beth was the executive director of the Greater Birmingham Humane Society. And she had created a program that worked with at-risk youth and with animals, with dogs. And she witnessed the benefits for both. Both ends of the leash, and working with dogs, these kids started learning confidence and trust and responsibility, all of these wonderful necessary skills that really led to promoting pro-social behavior. So she took a complete leap of faith and created Hand and Paw. And slowly the organization grew into what we are today. And the mission is still the same. Hand and Paw's mission is to improve human health and well-being through animal-assisted therapy. Animals have a keen sensitivity to human emotion and have the capacity to provide comfort, especially to our more vulnerable population. They provide physical and psychological benefits. When we pet an animal, we just automatically relax. Our heart rate drops, our breathing rate drops. We just feel so much better.
In the last decade,
automatic relaxation.
Yeah, in the last decade, I would think science has evolved to solidify that which we knew instinctively. Science shows that they lower blood pressure and all that stuff. That has become more and more evident.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our job is to really visit with people in a variety of settings, hospitals, nursing homes, universities where kids are going through a lot of stress, being away from home, and then they hit finals week. So we try to provide that stress relief, that unique bond with animals, especially with people in nursing homes that may not be able to take their animals with them, and they feel more isolated. And then, of course, hospitals where a patient or a family may be away from home for a very long period of time. And visiting with kids, especially at Children's Hospital, really helps provide that distraction from pain and from worry. And it just creates a magical moment that allows them to forget sort of their circumstance and sort of takes them away from that pain. So
And
we absolutely love it.
don't forget libraries.
And
Oh,
libraries,
yes,
correct. We have huge literacy initiatives, which we connect with students that may be struggling a little bit in reading, and may not have that confidence to read aloud. And we pair them with a therapy team. And we do, our program is called Sit, Stay, Read, which is a weekly program that the teams go to a school or to a library and really help a student that needs to improve and boost their literacy skills.
right.
And we love our library program. We love our literacy program.
Well, we enjoy it too. I know I've got a couple of friends who have service dogs, and no, you're not supposed to interact with service dogs, but just seeing them makes me happy. And I see the hand
Absolutely.
and paw people come in, and it just makes me happy.
That's wonderful.
So take me from the beginning of someone deciding they want to volunteer. Do they bring their own animal? How do you start a person through the program to be a volunteer with Hand and Paw?
That's a great question. This is the wonderful thing about Hand and Paw volunteers is the absolute dedication it takes to really become a therapy team. It's not a quick process.
No,
Not every dog is meant to volunteer in the community. They really have to have a great temperament. But we really emphasize the focus on a team. It's both ends of the leash. It is the handler, the owner, and also the dog. So what we first do is ask that people attend an open house, which have been on hold due to COVID, but hopefully we'll be able to bring those back. So they have a better understanding of Hand and Paw and exactly what it takes to be a therapy team, and also the amount of time that it takes. There's a
right.
huge amount of dedication. And then we do a screening. So we ask you to do an application and then come in and just ask you some questions. We get to see how you communicate with your dog, how your dog reacts to being in the community. Certainly, we want a dog that is eager to interact with people, that doesn't hide under a chair or doesn't want to be petted. And after that, we invite people to a training. And so you have to have some prerequisites before that happens. You need to have done a group obedience class, which just makes sure that you have the foundation of skills needed, the sit, the stay, the come, just the basic obedience before you take a training with us. And then once you do the training, it's about a 5-week process, so it's pretty intense. We do a lot of role play,
Yes.
simulating visiting in a facility with diverse populations. We do role play with medical equipment. So you make sure that you're not going to react to a wheelchair, or say someone that's walking with a walker, things that you would encounter in a nursing home or in a hospital situation. So we try to expose the dogs to pretty much everything they would see when they're out in the field. And then we role play simulated sort of conversations. So the people, our volunteers, really comfortable having conversations with our clients, basically. So you're kind of ready for anything when you walk into a facility. So it's a long process, and I will say that our teams, one of the most surprising things that I think people learn eventually about Hand and Paw is that our teams constantly train. It's not that you
Mhm.
just go through group obedience and you're done. You don't just do our training classes and you're done. You constantly train, because it's the communication you have with your animal as a team that sets you up for the most success visiting with clients and really being able to achieve that animal assisted therapy and animal assisted activities. So it's a lot of work, but they're just people that can do it. They absolutely love it. And the dogs are just phenomenal. We are so lucky. And the cats. We have two
Yeah,
cats
that's
as well,
great. So not just dogs,
not just dogs.
not just dogs. I wonder, you said that they go, you want them to have the basic obedience to begin with. And I
Correct.
wonder if y'all got trainers that are out there in the community where you say, look, if you see somebody who has really good skills, you might want to suggest that they contact us. In other words, kind of everybody looking out for that special dog that can be a hand and paw volunteer.
Absolutely. We have some wonderful trainers in our area that are advocates of hand and paw. So when they see that really special bond and
Hmm.
those wonderful dynamic volunteers with their dogs, they will say, you should be a hand and paw team. You should check this out. So
Yeah,
we love our area trainers. What we do recommend is that all of our trainers be positive reinforcement trainers. And it's really that positive reinforcement that we're looking for, because that's what we do. That's our training. We don't like the negative reinforcement with choke
right.
collars and that sort of thing. So we're lucky. We are so lucky to have some wonderful advocates in our community that talk about us and that constantly do training and see these wonderful candidates out there. So yes, that's a great part of our community too.
So now that you have a new facility, what other long range plans do you have for hand and paw in the future, or what are you developing?
Well, what we would like to do this year is to boost our literacy again. We know kids have had a tough time with COVID and having to go virtual. We adapted to virtual in order to keep our community safe. So we're adjusting back to in-person visits. We've got to bring our teams back into the facility to do some training to get them back out there. However, we know that there is going to be a huge need for literacy programs and getting kids back to speed and back where they need to be. So our Sit, Stay, Read program is going to have a huge push this year. We would love to do some summer programming in-house,
Hmm.
but we're trying to make sure it's safe to do so. So we're kind of slowly, intentionally moving forward, connecting back with our program partners. We have built an on-site library, which we absolutely love. We would love to be able to bring the community into have some literacy support visits with that. Love to do some summer programming here. And also we would love to be able to be back in the community doing our petscription visits. And that's where we go into hospitals, nursing homes, and really provide that hands-on support, especially for our healthcare workers that
Yeah.
also have had such a hard year. So that's
I,
where our focus is. We want
yeah,
to we want
I
to
didn't
help.
think about that. You were talking about healthcare workers. They need
Mhm.
it almost as much as the patients right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In our visits, we have always made sure to include our healthcare workers. When we visit a patient, our clients are considered the patient's family, the patient's
Mhm.
siblings, everybody that really benefits from animal assisted therapy, but also the staff that has been taking care of that family and been through those rough times right alongside them. So that's a huge part of what we would like to do this year as well. Return to our hospitals, return to UAB, and return to Children's Hospital and provide that staff support that we think is so needed.
Well, give me some numbers. How many volunteers do you have? Pets have volunteer. I mean, did any of that diminish during COVID, or what are your numbers strong as far as volunteers?
So we have 106 volunteers. These wonderful volunteers made a huge leap into technology right alongside us this year, and continued to connect with our community. And right when COVID really started and we had to start working from home, we started asking our volunteers for supportive videos just to send to our program partners, to say we're right in this with you, and thank you for all that you're doing. And then we slowly made the switch to Google Meet and Zoom meetings, and that way we could provide that really in-person support that was so needed. So we were able to then continue that vital programming and stress relief and literacy visits. So not all of our volunteers made that leap, but most did. And we were just absolutely so grateful. They were sort of learning the technology right alongside us.
I feel you.
So
Yeah.
we were able to continue our programs and services, which is incredible. With animal-assisted therapy, we would love to keep this virtual track because it allows us to connect with some community members we may not have been able to in the past.
I think everybody is finding that out. Yes.
Absolutely.
The library is for sure.
So we have learned to adapt. We have, really adjusted our services. And I think the virtual animal-assisted therapy has just wonderful benefits. And we also have some volunteers who are really comfortable doing the virtual visits for their own personal health reasons. They may be feeling more vulnerable going into a hospital, but they would love to still connect virtually. So we absolutely keep that as well.
Well, I have to say, I'm not biased, but I have the most wonderful puppy dog. His name is Baxter. And anybody that comes into our house, he is right up in their lap going, hello.
Hi.
And I love you. And but as a mother, I know that he would not be a perfect fit for Hand and Paw. Now, how can I help Hand and Paw? Not necessarily as a frontline volunteer. What can the community do to help Hand and Paw?
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question. Well, we have a great Amazon wish list full of books. So we're still building our library. We also love gently used books. We focus on kindergarten through 4th grade. That's really our target areas to connect with the libraries and the schools. And that's really where we feel we can make the most difference with Hand and Paw animal-assisted therapy. So check out our wish list. We've had people do book drives for us, and that's something communities can come together and do, a book club can come together and do. So absolutely start with our Amazon wish list there. Advocate, tell people about Hand and Paw. We have a wonderful website that is full of great information. We have videos of us doing visits, so you can have a better understanding of what we do in the community. Check that out. It's a wonderful YouTube channel on our website, which is handandpaw.org. So absolutely start there. We love our animal advocacy friends. So even if you have a dog that would not work well in a community situation, you can still do lots of things to help us succeed in helping our community. So
now I know Birmingham is pretty well known for having several large animal related events, Doodah Day, Mutt Strut, you name it. And I'm sure that y'all do fundraising through those events. Is there anything else that you're known for as far as fundraising or anything like that? Or are you mostly just, relying on events like Mutt Strut and Hand and Paw? Doodah Day.
Absolutely. So we have Mutt Strut, which was just this past Saturday, which this year was virtual. So anyone could have, taken part in the event from wherever they were, which was great. We hope to be back in person next year. And Picasso Pets is our big gala. That's a huge fundraiser that we weren't able to do last year, but we did an event called Tail Wagon Takeout, which was a lot of fun. We had wonderful food that people drove by and picked it up, and everyone brought their dogs. So it was great to see everyone safely, even from their car, which was great. but Picasso Pets will be back this year at the Grand Bohemian, and we'll have lots of therapy teams there. This is our big, huge art gala. We do a live auction. So that's the big one. And then we have Barktoberfest, which is our Barktoberfest, which is our Oktoberfest themed. And we have kind of it's also a Halloween costume contest. We have lots of vendors and fun games and prizes for people. And people bring their pets and they all dress up in a theme. So it's a ton of fun. We did that at Cahaba Brewery a couple years ago. Of course, we didn't have it last year. So we will probably return that event in the fall. So you can keep an eye on our website and Facebook page for more information on those dates and events coming up.
Now, are there any touching, surprising, funny stories that you can share? I would love to hear something about how wonderful the pets are, or naughty. I don't care.
Oh, they're usually just phenomenal. You know, the stories that our volunteers share are so touching, and there's really no great way to describe a hand and paw visit unless you really hear firsthand or you're present. But oftentimes it's just they've made a connection. They've made a connection through the dog that they weren't able to do before, even, you know, with literacy, with school support, kids that are very withdrawn, the dog or the cat just brings them out of themselves and brings them out of their shell, and they're able to form this trust and this bond. You know, the stories, the really heartfelt stories from teams that really visit with the sick kids in the hospital at Children's Hospital are just incredible. Being able to lighten a child's day, a family's day. We have people come up to us all the time and say, my daughter was in Children's Hospital and you changed her life. And that's really incredible. And it's just this magic moment. You know that feeling, and you know the benefits and the distraction you're bringing someone that is in a hard situation, and that's when we know we've truly made a difference. And it's absolutely why we're here. 100%.
You talked on this a bit, but are there any particular challenges working with both individuals, people, and their animals? Do you have to kind of be open to all kinds of people?
Absolutely. We love diversity. We celebrate diversity. And that's one thing that, you know, with our volunteers and with the animals, you know, we have a 4-pound Chihuahua and we have a 170-pound Great Dane. So, you know, we celebrate diversity. We love it. We try to teach inclusion. You know, our library is full of social emotional topics, so we can really bring this health and wellness focus to our community. And we love the diversity, not only in our volunteers, but in the animals that help us bring animal assisted therapy to Birmingham and to Tuscaloosa. I did mention we had 2 cats. It's very rare to have cats that will just do pretty much anything. You can hand them to person. We have had some guinea pigs and rabbits in the past. So we celebrate all species that we feel will do well in a community situation. And we screen all of these animals very heavily to make sure that they're appropriate to visit. But absolutely, we welcome everyone at Hand and Paw.
That's fantastic. Now, I will, of course, end this segment with your website and anything else, maybe your Facebook page, so people can connect.
Great.
But you had said something, the Amazon wish list should be accessible on your website, things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fantastic. And now that I know you're in my neighborhood in Avondale, I'm going to have to seek out. I know where United Way is, so I think I know where y'all are. So
Perfect. We're right across from the Glenwood offices too. And I
yeah,
encourage anyone to come by and see us and see our garden. We have an incredible volunteer who has been just pouring her heart, making this such a wonderful place for our volunteers to return to
that's
post-COVID and post being at home for so long. And our garden is just absolutely phenomenal. So please come by anytime. Anyone wants to come have a walk through our wonderful gardens, you're absolutely welcome to.
well. I really appreciate your time, Kirsten. And if there's anything else, we're going to have a whole summer of tales and tales. So
I love it.
hopefully we'll be seeing more of Hen and Paw in the community very soon.